Hi, everybody. November 5, 2019. I suppose this could be part 3 of the part 1 and 2 that I posted 2 days ago, and part 2 I posted earlier today. The world slipping into a violent chaos, all moving us towards this new world order with a one world government, the United Nations. We have an awful lot of global crises happening at the same time. And wow, we are going down fast. When this economic crisis will happen, I don't have a date. If it doesn't happen soon, I could foresee it happening 2020, but I just want to go over some recent, very recent articles that will show you Trump is lying through his teeth about our economy. And what is happening to the United States is happening to virtually every country in the world. Yes, globalism, isn't it great? No, it's not. So, we have a global economic crisis on our hands. They are propping up the economy, the global economy, the U.S. economy, by printing money and just injecting it into the system. The debt bubble, the debt of everything, well, yeah, we are slipping into madness. The comparison to the 1920s and 1930s are just uncanny. We are seeing echoes of the 1920s and 1930s in today's politics because we echo the economics of the 1920s, 20s and the 1930s. And you can read these articles in full if you want. Just click on the link below in the description box, which is where I put the links to all of the articles or videos that I'm working off of. But I'm not going to be reading all of the articles. I'm just showing you that, yeah, a whole lot of economists, those in the financial sector, are all now coming out saying we're headed for not a recession, but a depression, which will be unlike the 1920s and 1930s. Oh, this is going to hurt virtually everyone. Who's not going to be hurt? The very, very wealthy, the very, very rich. If you're not in that class, I sure hope that you are preparing for a collapse, because it is coming. Now, world sleepwalking towards second financial crisis, warns ex-Bank of England head. Speaking at the annual meeting of the International Monetary Fund last week in Washington, D.C., Mervyn King, the former governor of England's central bank, issued a stark warning by failing to learn from the mistakes that led to the collapse of the traditional financial system a decade ago. The world is sleepwalking towards another global financial crisis, sticking to the new orthodoxy of monetary policy and pretending that we have made the banking system safe. We're sleepwalking towards the crisis. Another economical and financial crisis would be devastating to the legitimacy of a democratic market system. Oh, it's going to be devastating, all right. And isn't this interesting? Total U.S. debt surpasses $23 trillion for the first time. Every presidential candidate, they all campaign, one of their promises, I'm going to reduce the debt. And they never do. They only increase the debt. So oh God, I mean, this has been going on for ages, but Well, let's start with Clinton. Like Clinton, and then Bush, and then Obama, and now Trump, all increasing the debt. Meanwhile, the economy just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. The Fed is lying to us. What a surprise, right? Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell publicly claimed the U.S. economy is in a good place. It's kind of like Trump. The economy is great. Black unemployment, the lowest it's ever been. Hispanic unemployment, the lowest it's ever been. Unemployment, oh my God, we're doing better than we have done in 50 years. How can you believe these abject lies? How? How can anyone believe what these people are saying? And it's not just Trump, but all of these government officials. They lie continually, but they're never held accountable. And Americans do love the lies. They like to hear the lies because the truth is just far too demanding. Yeah. Well, that should piss everybody off. It sure does piss me off. It's obviously disturbing. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I went too quickly. Yeah. How can you say that the economy, the U.S. economy, is in a good place, and yet somehow, despite the U.S. banking system already having approximately $1.5 trillion in reserves, the Fed is suddenly pumping in an additional $60 billion per month to keep things propped up? Do drastic, urgent measures like this reflect an economy that's in a good place? Please answer. Please answer with this. No. Okay. This today, it's obviously disturbing. Mortgage market reopens to subprime borrowers? They're doing the same thing that triggered the 2008 financial meltdown? Does that sound like sane policy? After more than a decade since the subprime mortgage market triggered the 2008 financial meltdown, the strict lending standards placed on new homeowners post-crisis have disintegrated in the last 3 years. Home buyers with low credit scores, gig economy jobs, high debt loads can now obtain mortgages and participate in that American dream of owning a home. Putting unqualified people back into homes is the latest example of stupidity from Wall Street, but the lack of oversight from the Federal Reserve and government. Yeah, well, what they are trying to do before the crash, they are trying to get every penny from you. Every penny, everything you own, they want before the crash. And they're going to take it all. Pensions, 401ks, oh, they're going to take it all. Yeah, everything that you have in the bank, and I sure do hope that a lot of you don't have a whole lot in the bank. I hope you have prepared for this because it's coming. You know, yeah, people have been warning for years and years. Well, what has the Fed done? Artificially propped it up by printing money. Quantitative easing. Central bank issues stunning warning. If the entire system collapses, gold will be needed to start over. Central banks are joining the doom parade now. Yeah, this is Dutch central bank. If the system collapses, the gold stock can serve as a basis to build it up again. Gold bolsters confidence in the stability of the central bank's balance sheet, and creates a sense of security. So for the head of the Bank of England, now Dutch central bank, they're coming out and saying, we're not in good shape. Actually, the system is very vulnerable to a system collapse, and, well, gold? Or will they just shift to a digital currency? Who knows? Whatever the elite want to do. Because it's their world. They own it, right? And that's pretty much the psyche of the ordinary two-legged walking around. The slaves, they've got the owners. And that psyche is killing us. Oops, IMF admits policy. It was pushing for years, has led world to edge of disaster. We're going to hear more and more leaders telling the truth. Why? Because it don't matter anymore. We're going down. There's no stopping this collapse. So they're going to come out admitting an awful lot now. JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon warns there's a recession ahead. Oh, Jamie Dimon, by the way, is not a Jew. No, he's Greek Orthodox. How bull markets end. Wells Fargo prepares clients for economic downturn. And if you want to check out Wells Fargo's PDF, and this is the prep for their clients, how bull markets end. Investment strategies to prepare for the next downturn. Well, 16 pages. You can check it out and see, you know, if it makes sense. Maybe if you're somebody with money, why don't you follow Wells Fargo's advice? IRS, sorry, but it's just easier and cheaper to audit the poor. More and more truth is going to be coming out. Congress asks the IRS to report on why it audits the poor more than the affluent. Carol, learn how to speak. Yeah, well, just easier to go after the poor than the rich. Super rich elite have more money than they know what to do with. Well, if I had their money, I know what I would be doing with it. Helping all of you who need the help. They just don't know, those super rich, though, what to do with that money. Well, I'd say they don't have a conscience, a moral core, and even the thought, do the right thing. So, once again, out of the Trump administration. Yay, Trump! Oh my God, so many jobs! Thank you, the economy. Oh my God, the miracle worker. He turned it all around. He made the economy great again. And job openings plunged to 18-month low as slide in quits confirms job market slowdown. It is a slowdown. Freight railroad traffic plunged 8% at the end of October. Why? Because we have nothing to ship. U.S. service sector slump hits 3-year lows. Worst jobs cut since 2009. And the service sector, well, I'll get to that. You want to know where the jobs are? Now, let me show you now. Here. Where are these jobs? Let's see. Jobs added by industry, September 2019, October 2019. Leisure and hospitality. Whoa. Okay, so September 2019 is pink. And black is October. Jobs added by industry. So September, the leisure and hospitality, which pretty much includes the service sector, well, they hired quite a bit in October. Education and health, less than September. Professional business services, more in October. Financial activities, more. Wholesale trade, more in October. Construction, a little bit less in October. Transportation and warehousing, they hired more in October. Retail trade, less. Mining and logging, none. Wow, none. And very few in September. Government hired an awful lot in September. But, well, there was a loss in October of government jobs. Other services, a loss in September, a loss in October. Information, a loss, and a loss in October, a few in September. Temporary help services, whoa, okie dokie, very much a loss in October, quite a few in September. But look at manufacturing, loss in September and a huge loss in October. But the economy is doing great. Manufacturing is back in the United States. Yay, Trump! Okay, well, guess what? Since that the jobs report, I mean, do we not know that they manipulate the numbers? Okay. U.S. services sector slump hits 3-year low. U.S. Hotel industry contracts the most since the financial crisis, 2008. Restaurant industry is saddled with debt and facing a reckoning. Nearly 40% of 2019 farm income will come from federal aid and insurance. And boy, do they need it. IBM plunges after reporting lowest revenue in 17 years. Wow. Even the major corporations are taking a hit. Uber crashes to record low after huge loss. Here, I'll link to everything. The boom turns into a bust. Here are 14 signs that the U.S. economy is steadily weakening. U.S. business hiring has fallen to a 7-year low. Consumer confidence in the United States has now declined for 3 months in a row. Defaults on subprime auto loans are happening at the fastest pace that we have seen since 2008. The percentage of subprime auto loans that are at least 60 days delinquent is now higher than it was at any point during the last recession. Vacancies at U.S. shopping malls have hit the highest level since the last recession. Destination Maternity has announced that they will be closing 183 stores as the worst year for store closings in the U.S. history just continue to get worse. The Cass Freight Index fallen for 10 months in a row. U.S. rail car load volumes plunged to the lowest level in 3 years. In September, orders for Class 8 heavy trucks were down 71%. Tesla's U.S. sales were down a whopping 39% during the third quarter of 2019. The bad news just keeps rolling in for the real estate industry. Last month, existing home sales in the United States declined by another 2.2%. New home prices have fallen to the lowest level in almost 3 years. According to one recent report, 44% of all Americans don't make enough money to cover their monthly expenses. And a recent survey found that more than 2/3 of all U.S. households are preparing for a possible recession. Possible? It's coming, but it's going to be not a recession. It will be a depression on steroids. More bad economic numbers put a huge dent in the case of the economic optimists. Yes, despite extremely wild spending into the U.S. government, by the U.S. government, and exceedingly irresponsible intervention by the Fed Reserve, the U.S. economy has not even had a good year in ages. Depressingly bad manufacturing numbers. So the Chicago Purchasing Management Index has put manufacturing at 43.2, and below 50 indicates deteriorating conditions. Manufacturing renaissance, yeah, that's the lie that's still actually being spoken. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how this guy, Trump, MAGA, can stand there and actually claim manufacturing jobs brought back to America. Americans are working again. Oh, it's beyond. Well, beyond, I don't know. Well, let's just say we are seeing lying like we have never seen before. Every single day now. And anyone paying attention would know. And I do not know how the so-called awake, quote-unquote, crowd still claim their support for Trump, and he is making America great again. Wow. Well, we were promised a manufacturing renaissance, but instead manufacturing is now the smallest share of the U.S. economy that it has been in 72 years. Manufacturing traditionally provides good paying jobs. Well, U.S. business hiring now declined to the lowest level in 7 years. Molson Coors just announced they will be laying off 500 workers. Retail apocalypse continues. Forever 21 closing most of their stores, laying off most of their employees. More than 100 Forever 21 stores will be closed. They're going bankrupt. Family-owned company, which has about 32,800 employees, said it would close most of its stores in Asia, Europe, and up to 178 stores in the U.S. Dress Barn will be closing 544 stores, closing no later than December 26. And yeah, the trade crap, it's a game, and I have no interest in playing it or reading anything about it. The trade, the tariffs have hurt so many Americans. Yeah, but Trump claims China is paying for it. No, it's falling on the back of so many Americans. You can check out Daily Jobs Cut, and November announced U.S. layoff total 1,540, and I will tell you that dailyjobcuts.com does a really good job, but they've not caught every layoff. But in 5 days so far, the count is 1,540. 95 North Fork Southern in Altoona, Pennsylvania, 95. Chico's, 49. Waiter layoffs, don't know how many. 150 from Nally and Hamilton Enterprises. Clarisonic, 92 in Redmond. WeWork, 25% of staff 20 from Wacker Chemi, Charleston, Tennessee. HM Health Solutions 107, Pratt and Whitney 60, Nestle's 600, Halcyon, I don't know, 160, Hart Hanks 146, Cowley 66, Caterpillar 120, Sat 100, Inboard Technology 24, Samsung 290, Stay Alford 30, Owens Brockway Glass Container 93, Investment Bank Lazard 200, Bruce Mansfield Generation Plant 49, Ashford University, don't know how many layoffs. I believe I posted a video on October layoffs. Well, yeah. So the Fed is lying, Trump is lying, and, you know, it's another, I can't remember Peter Schiff said, when are people going to catch on to this scam? When are people going to stop listening to liars and start digging in, researching, trying to find the truth of what's going on? It is ultimately to their demise that they keep listening to these lies. So economist and money manager Michael Pinto says the recent Federal Reserve about face in policy with cutting rates and new QE money printing means only one thing: the Fed panicked. They not only stopped raising rates, they now cut rates twice, and they are going to cut rates again at the end of the month. They are also fully backing the massive QE, quantitative easing, but the Fed says it's not QE when it is QE. They have a $130 billion revolving repo facility, shoving $130 billion every night, rolling it over, trying to re-liquefy the banking system and back into QE, $60 billion per month. At the peak, it was $85 billion. So they are almost back to the peak of QE during the Great Recession. They did not scale in. The Fed went to $60 billion right away. Pinto says that the Fed is panicking to stop a depression. That's right, a depression. I am on record saying, given the extent of the asset bubbles that we have today, household debt is at a record high. Corporate debt is at a record high, up 60%. The national debt was $9 trillion. Prior to the Great Recession, it's now $23 trillion. 2008, the Great Recession. Total non-financial debt is now $53 trillion, and it was, $33 trillion prior to the Great Recession. Given all these imbalances and deformations, the Fed knows we are not going to have some mild recession. If they don't re-liquefy the money markets, the same thing that happened back in 2008 would happen today. Only the stock market was only 100% of GDP, and today it's 150%, or 1.5 times the economy. So the plunge in the stock market would be huge, and from a much higher level. Back in the Great Recession, unemployment claims spiked. We had millions of people laid off, and the same thing would happen today, only it will be much worse. The debt bubble will implode at some point, and it will be felt everywhere on the planet. When this thing implodes, we are all screwed. On a global scale, we have never before created such a magnificent bubble. These central bankers are clueless? No, they know exactly what they're doing. Printing a whole lot of money, giving it to the mega banks, corporations, easy money, and they're going to rip you off blind before crashing our fabulous economy. that's doing so unbelievably well. Really? So, next video, I'm going to be reading pretty much the entirety of this great article. The Fed's liquidity response is too little too late, but that was always the plan. I like Brandon Smith. You might want to check out his altmarket.com website. Everything will be linked to below. If you haven't started to prepare, I hope you do. To those who have nothing to prepare with, I got it. I know it. And it's hard. I've come to an acceptance. And it's so funny because those who have, I get into these conversations and I tell them, no, I am not. The shit hits the fan, I will not survive it. They don't want to hear that. They think I am lying. Do you know how many Americans will not survive the crash that's coming? A whole lot. And boy, will we see suicide skyrocket. So if you have the resources to prepare, then do it. Do it. And don't wait, because they're going to pull this whenever they're ready. And once pulled, life as we know it will be gone. Yeah. All right, all links are below. Ciao.